From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline, Malacanang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacanang, and I'm your host, Leo Magpayo. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said plunder, anti-graft, or indirect bribery charges may be filed against former Speaker Martin Romualdez and former Congressman Zaldico. In a video statement, President Marcos Jr. said that Romualdez and co. may face the mentioned charges if evidence is found following the completion of information gathering by the Independent Commission on Infrastructure or ICI and the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH regarding their alleged involvement in anomalous flood control projects.
Ang ICI at saka ang DPWH ay lahat ng nakuha nila na impormasyon ay ibibigay na sa Ombudsman para imbestigahan ng Ombudsman. Ito ay tungkol sa mga impormasyon ng dating Speaker Martin Romualdez at saka ni Saldico. Pag nakita lahat ng ebidensya, baka mag-file ng kaso ng plunder o anti-graft o indirect bribery.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline, Malacanang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday reaffirmed his administration's commitment to protecting and empowering overseas Filipino workers or OFWs, emphasizing that every OFW deserves to be treated as a hero. Speaking at the 2025 Bagong Bayani Awards in Malacanang, the President described OFWs as the strength and light of the nation whose sacrifices abroad sustain families and uplift communities back home. The chief executive underscored the government's ongoing efforts to modernize services for OFWs, including the rollout of the OFW Travel Pass via the eGovPH app and the online employment contract verification system. President Marcos also highlighted the issuance of around 300,000 electronic Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA cards, which streamline access to welfare services and benefits. He reaffirmed the administration's support for health initiatives such as the OFW Hospital and OWA Botica. Among other key programs, the President cited the Action Fund, which provides emergency legal, medical, and financial assistance, and the establishment of OFW lounges at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA to ensure comfort and dignity for every OFW traveler. President Marcos Jr. also pledged continued efforts to combat human trafficking and strengthen reintegration programs for returning OFWs, including startup capital, financial literacy training, and livelihood support.
Kaya bilang suporta, asahan ninyo na nandito lang ang inyong pamahalaan. Through the Department of Migrant Workers, we shall continue to elevate protection, streamline services, and ensure that every OFW is treated as the hero that they are. Sa ngayon, ginagawa na natin digital ang ilang proseso ng pagtatrabaho sa ibang bansa, tulad ng OFW Travel Pass sa eGovPH app at ang Online Employment Contract Verification System. Ang Overseas Welfare Administration naman ay nakakapag-issue na ng mahigit kumulang 300,000 electronic card na magbibigay sa mga migrant workers ng mas madaling access sa mga serbisyo ng ating gobyerno. Pinahalagan din natin ang inyong kalusugan sa pamamagitan ng OFW Hospital, ang OWA Botica, at pinalakas na ng mga programang medikal para sa ating mga OFW. Sa Action Fund, Ang mga OFW na nasa kagipitan ay may maasahang tulong na legal, medical, pinansyal at iba pa mula sa DMW, Migrant Workers Offices at Regional Offices. Bukod pa rito, may OFW lounge na sa ating NAIA para sa inyong komportableng paghihintay ng inyong flight. Mahigpit din ang pamahalaan sa pagprotekta sa ating mga OFW sa pamamagitan na paglaban at pagpuksa sa human trafficking. Sinusuportahan din ng ating DMW ang reintegrasyon ng ating returning OFW sa pamamagitan ng startup capital, financial literacy training at livelihood support. Lahat ng ito ay upang masiguro na hindi masasayang ang inyong pinaghirapan at maging matagumpay ang inyong pag-uwi. Kaya naman po, sa inyong pag-alis at sa inyong pagbalik, tandaan po ninyo na hindi kailanman kayo nag-iisa. Gagawin namin ang aming makakaya upang maprotektahan at masuportahan ang bawat bagong bayani.
The Bagong Bayani Awards, created in 1983 through Letter of Instruction 1320 by former President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr., honor OFWs who exemplify heroism, integrity, compassion, and professional excellence. This year's honorees include Filipino workers recognized for exceptional service, cultural contributions, successful reintegration, and acts of heroism. Among them, a ship crew who rescued 52 migrants off Crete in Greece, and a caregiver who risked her life to protect her employer during the 2023 attacks in southern Israel.
Dateline, Malacanang.
Malacanang on Thursday maintained that the departure of former Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin from the cabinet was a decision made by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. following Bersamin's public clarification that he did not resign voluntarily. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro emphasized that the announcement of Bersamin's exit came from the palace. In a press briefing on Monday, Castro said Bersamin and Budget Secretary Amena Pandaman stepped down out of delicadeza amid allegations of budget insertions linked to flood control projects. Their departure, she added, was intended to ensure that investigations could proceed without interference. Bersamin, however, later clarified that he did not resign but submitted a letter deferring to the president's discretion. He said the palace's earlier statement did not accurately reflect his position.
The palace acknowledges former Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin's clarification regarding the manner of his transition. As he himself stated in his interview, he submitted himself to the President's discretion and prerogative as part of the ongoing reorganization. The palace announcement was issued in line with this understanding and with due regard for stability and continuity in governance. At nagkausap naman po sila ng Pangulo face-to-face at let us just leave it at that.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline, Malacanang.
Malacanang on Thursday distanced itself from reports of a supposed plot to unseat House Speaker Bogie D., stressing that the selection of congressional leaders falls outside the authority of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. In a palace briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro said, the choice of House leadership is not in the hands of the President. Castro emphasized that the matter rests solely with members of the House of Representatives. Reports have surfaced that Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno is being considered as a potential replacement for D. Asked whether President Marcos had any involvement or influence in the matter, Castro said there is none. D assumed the speakership in September, succeeding Leyte Representative Ferdinand Martin Romualdez amid mounting public criticism over alleged anomalies in the national budget and flood control projects.
Ang pagpili po kasi ng liderato ng Kongreso ay wala naman po sa kamay ng Pangulo. Kung ano po ang kanilang magiging desisyon dyan, kung ano ang kanilang pagiging pagpapatakbo dyan, hindi po yan saklaw ng Pangulo. So, nasa kanila po yan kung ano po yung nais nilang gawin sa House of Representatives.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline, Malacanang.
Also on Thursday, Malacanang described as a betrayal of the country the reported possibility that some anti-government rallies in the Philippines may be receiving foreign funding. In a palace briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro said, the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP, in coordination with the Philippine National Police or PNP, is closely monitoring the situation. The AFP earlier confirmed it is investigating whether foreign entities are financing recent protest actions against the government. The military statement came in the wake of a United People's Initiative or UPI rally at the EDSA People Power Monument in Quezon City, led by retired military officers. The protest called for President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s resignation and urged the AFP to withdraw its support from the administration.
Sa ngayon po, mismo ang pamunuan po ng AFP ay sinabi po sa atin na continuously nagche-check po sila at closely coordinating with the PNP regarding this. At kung ito man ay may katotohanan, kapwa Pilipino, kung may katotohanan at makikita po sa kanilang pag-iimbestiga na foreign funded itong kanilang isinasagawang rally, masasabi po natin ito ipagtataksil sa bayan. At hindi po na narapat ito na pinanghimasukan tayo ng ibang bansa. Ang politika natin ay mukhang pinanghihimasukan na ng ibang bansa. So, hindi po maganda. Sana hindi po lumalim pa ang itong klase mga aktibidad kung nagpopondo lang naman din po ay ibang bansa.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline, Malacanang.
Still on Thursday, Malacanang said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. included a professional appraisal in his 2024 Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth, or SALN, to provide the public with a clearer picture of the present market value of his properties. In a palace briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro explained that Cuervo Appraisers Incorporated was commissioned to assess the president's assets, emphasizing that the updated valuation helps the public better understand their current worth. Unappraised value refers to a professional estimate of a property's present market value based on prevailing conditions and conducted by a certified appraiser. Under existing SALN rules, government officials are primarily required to declare the acquisition cost or the original purchase price of their assets, including real estate. However, they may also include a separate appraisal to reflect current fair market values.
Hindi ba mas maganda kung makikita nyo kung ano yung value, yung updated value ng mga properties? Mas maganda, mas maliwanag, mas transparent.
For transparency purposes po ito.
Para mas maganda rin makita ng taong bayan kung magkano na yung value ng mga properties na dating na-acquired before. Dahil darating yung panahon na sasabihin nila na ito na yung value niyan. So, dapat i-declare din. So, wala namang mali doon. Mas maganda nga po.
Castro's clarification came after Akbayan Party List released digital copies of the SAL-Ns of President Marcos, Vice President Sara Duterte, former President Rodrigo Duterte, and former Ombudsman Samuel Martires amid renewed calls for transparency following corruption allegations involving several agencies. In his December 31, 2024 SAL-N, President Marcos declared total assets of 389.36 million pesos, comprising 247.33 million pesos in personal properties and 142.02 million pesos in real estate. The attached Cuervo appraisal placed the current market value of his assets at 1.375 billion pesos. For comparison, President Marcos's declared net worth stood at 371.49 million pesos in 2022 and 381.44 million in 2023. His appraised asset values were 960.7 million pesos in 2022 and 1.157 billion in 2023.
Dateline, Malacanang.
The administration of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. assured the public on Thursday that proceeds from the auction of 7 luxury vehicles worth over 103 million pesos and seized from contractors Pacifico and Cesara Discaya will be remitted to the National Treasury as part of its anti-corruption campaign. In a Malacanang briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Bureau of Customs or BOC began auctioning the Discayas' luxury vehicles on Thursday morning. Held at South Harbor in Manila, the auction underscored the President's resolve to hold erring officials accountable and stamp out illegal activities in government. According to Castro, the auction marks an initial step in recovering stolen funds, with the BOC also investigating 14 construction firms linked to the scandal. The vehicles were confiscated due to irregularities in importation and documentation. The Discayas are among the top contractors implicated in the corruption surrounding flood control projects. Among the auctioned vehicles were a 2022 Toyota Tundra, 2023 Toyota Sequoia, 2022 Bentley Bentayga, 2023 Rolls-Royce Cullinan, 2019 Mercedes-Benz G500 Brabus, 2022 Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG, and a 2021 Lincoln Navigator L.
Bilang tugon sa utos ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. na maibalik ang pera ng taong bayan mula sa mga maanumalyang flood control projects. Sinimulan na kaninang umaga ang pag-auction sa 7 mamahaling sasakyan ng mga Diskaya na nakumpiska ng Bureau of Customs. Patunay din ito sa hangarin ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. na maipakita sa publiko na walang puwang sa pamahalaan ang iligal na mga gawain at uusigin ang sinumang lalabag sa batas. Ayon sa BOC, sa pangunguna ni Commissioner Ariel Nepomuceno, makakaasa ang taong bayan na lahat ng proceeds mula sa auction ay agad na iririmit sa National Treasury. Ibig sabihin, buong-buo na maibabalik ang pondo sa kaban ng bayan. Sa ngayon, inaasahang maibabalik sa taong bayan ang mahigit 103 million pesos mula sa 7 mamahaling sasakyan na nakumpiska sa mga Diskaya. Ayon sa ahensya, simula pa lamang ito sa mga hakbang ng pamahalaan upang maibalik ang pera ng taong bayan. Mayroon pang 14 na construction companies ang kanila ring binabantayan sa ngayon. Mahigit 3 buwan pa lang simula ng paimbestigahan ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang isyu ng korupsyon, may nakikita ng resulta ang taong bayan. Isa itong patunay sa seryosong paghahabol ng Pangulo sa mga iligal na gawain ng mga korap sa pamahalaan.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacanang.
And finally, good news. Radyo Pilipinas World Service or RPWS is back on shortwave radio after an 8-month hiatus, reaffirming its commitment to serving Filipinos worldwide with resilient and evolving broadcast services. RPWS, the overseas arm of the Presidential Broadcast Service, Bureau of Broadcast Services or PBS-BBS, under the Presidential Communications Office or PCO, suspended its shortwave operations on March 19, 2025. Despite this, it continued to deliver content online without interruption. The suspension followed a directive from United States President Donald Trump in March 2025 to halt all broadcasts under the United States Agency for Global Media, or USAGM. The order cut federal funding and placed several staff on leave, including those at USAGM Philippines, which hosts the Voice of America or VOA facilities responsible for transmitting RPWS programs via shortwave radio to Filipinos across the globe. Under the leadership of station manager Remigio Sampang, RPWS sustained its overseas service online, ensuring continuous access for overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and seafarers despite technical and logistical challenges. With confirmation from USAGM Philippines, RPWS is set to resume shortwave broadcast on December 1st, 2025. Its return to shortwave, alongside its expanded online presence, underscores RPWS's resilience and adaptability. Radio, after all, is not fading, it is evolving. RPWS stands as a testament to that transformation.
Dateline Malacanang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is live on audio streaming. Just download eVox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacanang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacanang.